George Markley was a happy, honest blacksmith in the early 1890s before the horrific events that transformed him into the Hammer. A hard-working man named Nathan wrongfully accused Mr. Markley of stealing and threatened to run him out of their booming town. Knowing he was innocent, George stood up to Nathan and refused to move. One day, when George's wife and 2 children were walking home from the market, Nathan and his gang of thugs attacked them, brutally killing them. Enraged, George tracked down Nathan and his friends and beat them to a pulp with his massive blacksmith's hammer. The local townspeople captured George and dragged him back to his shop, where he received a brutal form of frontier justice. Tied to a tree, nails were driven deep into his body with his own hammer. They finished the job by cutting off his most prized possession, his hand. Crudely fastened to his severed appendage was the tool of his livelihood, the hammer, readied for one last chance at vengeance.
To go all over the place, we're not even gonna just go on the lid, we're just gonna go all over the place. I'm taking a lighter purple eyeshadow, like not a lilac, but like a lighter, deeper purple. So I'm taking silver lining. To deepen it up, I'm taking, well, a little bit of a deeper purple, placing it both just below my waterline and just above it. Then I'm just putting a red liner on my bottom waterline. This all together is going to make you look real tired and real ragged. Now this character has a lot of bone structure because he was a blacksmith and they tend to be a little bit more muscular. For the most part, I'm going to be placing the bone structure around my nose area, like my smile lines, a little bit on the chin, and potentially a little bit on the cheekbones as well. Alright, so this guy is bald, but I don't really feel like putting on a bald cap, plus I'm not that great at it at all, and honestly, my hair hasn't gone anywhere for the majority of these tutorials, so why start now? For this specific tutorial, I'm going to be using both prosthetics that I have personally made from foam board and hot glue and paint, but I'm also going to be using store-bought. This is going to be from a special effects store that you can either get it online or you can get it in person, which I do. I definitely do know that a lot of locations around the world don't have a special effects store anywhere near them, so you definitely can get these online, but yeah, I've definitely played with my fair share of prosthetics, but I've never once played with latex prosthetics. So the idea behind these, though, is the fact that you're going to, I'm just going to read it off. While most Wuchi appliances can be worn in several places, check for proper alignment and placement before applying. Read all directions before starting. Brush Cinema Secret Spirit Gum on the back of the appliance anywhere it will touch the skin. Spirit Gum can also be applied directly to the skin. For best adhesion, after pressing the appliance into place, rapidly remove and replace the appliance several times to make the Spirit Gum tacky. You can just do this honestly by tapping it onto your skin, or tapping your skin to see if it's tacky, rather than removing the actual appliance. And blah blah blah, basically just clouding their own shit. You can use any kind of blood for this, whether it be like literally the stuff from the dollar store, which you might want to add a little bit more coloring into because it tends to be a little bit less of an actual like blood tone and more just of a pink. I'm also going to be mixing 2 lip colors in together. One is the NYX Liquid Suede Cream Lipstick in Soft Spoken. I'm going to be adding a little bit of Hazel from Black Moon Cosmetics over top of that. Now that we're kind of just looking like a dead body at this point, which doesn't mean what we're going for anyways. I will say, obviously, do not use latex prosthetics if you are allergic to latex. You think it would be obvious, but some people. With a light-ish pencil, I'm going to be mapping out where approximately I'm putting this onto my body. I also thought it might be a good idea to add on my little accessories, so that I know exactly where that is, comparatively speaking to where I'm putting the prosthetics. Because I was going to put a prosthetic here, and then I remembered. I think I want to cover up my tattoo as well. Oh my god. Success! This is why. It takes me 20 minutes every time I want to try! I want to place it here, but I feel like this is going to make me look like Frankenstein. Well, Frankenstein's monster. Maybe that would be better. It's tacky. It's tacky and I hate you. Now with latex prosthetics, you do definitely want to blend them in with more liquid latex to make them more realistic and to also make them stay longer. Not that that matters because I'm not exactly going to be wearing this out. Now in harder to reach areas where like you could put the spirit gum down and then this over top, it might be a little bit difficult. I generally coat whatever prosthetic I'm using with the spirit gum or the liquid latex, whatever skin safe adhesive you're working with, so that as soon as you put it down, that's when it's going to stick instead of having to try to find it and try to blend it out the best. Now it's time for some bruising. I'm using the 3 out of 4 shades in this. I'm going to be using the 2 purples, one lighter, one darker, and then the blue. First I'm going around with the darker purple, and then I'm lightening it up a little bit with the lighter purple with a blending sponge. You can use any kind of sponge, but I'm also going between each of the little crevices and cracks with a brush. This is going to make it look a little bit more realistic because the sponge tends not to get in between each of the cracks. And I'm using another brush, a clean brush, to basically just blend them out a little bit more to make them look more dispersed. Now for the blood. With latex prosthetics, the edges tend to be a little bit more prominent than any other kind of prosthetics that you would normally use, even after you've blended in with a little bit of liquid latex. So generally using a little bit of bruise tones around it plus fake blood is generally going to help out a lot with the blending process. Prosthetics I actually made myself, I'm going to be coming in more with that blood and putting it actually down the prosthetic rather than just around it to make it look more bloody. And maybe adding a few drips down my face. You know, whatever. That is it for today's tutorial. I hope you guys enjoy. Happy Halloween!